First is eliminate the virus. Activating your immune system to focus on the virus consistently over time kills all the viruses. The skin outbreaks is actually not related to the virus, but the inflammation created by the virus, because the virus actually attaches itself to the nerve and dumps toxins into the nerve. You get rid of herpes, clean out the inflammation, get the herpes DNA test again after you're done with this program, and see if the herpes DNA test is lowered. If you do it that way, you might be surprised at how effective it can be and free you from having this herpes label. Hi, my name is Charles Quang and welcome. I want to introduce you to a herpes elimination program. On a weekly basis, I meet women who've been affected by a herpes infected male, and they've now had skin outbreaks. They either have different degrees of skin outbreaks, but they all come with a positive herpes test. So let's go over that first before we actually talk about anything else. There's two types of herpes tests. The first is the antibody test, and that's what most people get. So how do you know if you got the herpes antibody test? Well, first of all, you'll see something very confusing like IgG, ABS. You might see an IgM. You might see an IgA. Whatever that type of herpes test is testing for, you're going to see some Ig something. And you might see ABS. And it'll give you some number. So this tells you that you have equal to antibodies against herpes. And this is a similar test if you want to test for something else, like chickenpox, or tuberculosis, or even rabies, measles. Our antibodies are your own immune system's reaction to something is detected and creating antibodies to provide lifetime immunity. Which means that once you're able to get rid of virus, the next time you get infected, the antibodies will kick in faster and it'll help you destroy this problem. Which is why once you get chickenpox once, you won't get it again, hopefully. And once you get measles, you won't get it again. TB, similar situation. Rabies, similar situation. So mild contact to chickenpox, TB, rabies, and measles in the future, the second time, does not mean you're going to get the disease. So that's what antibodies do. And since there's no medical treatment for herpes, since doing the antiviral and doing the antibiotics does nothing but minimize the skin outbreaks, the doctors tell you you have herpes, stay away from people, you're gross, go away. And that's not true. And I believe there was a way to handle this if we understand the situation just a little bit more. The next test is something you have to request. You're not going to get right away. And that's the DNA test. And the herpes DNA test is testing for DNA. If you don't have the DNA, then you don't have an active virus. You're always going to have the antibody for the rest of your life. But if you don't have the DNA, then you don't have the virus. And if you don't have the virus, then you can't pass it on to somebody else. So here's how it goes. We have another name for this test is PCR. The virus has DNA. No virus means no DNA. Now, since there is no medical treatment that can actually eliminate the virus, then there's no need to test this. You stay with this, you take this as your situation, there's nothing you can do about it. But there is, if we study the problem just a little bit. The herpes DNA test, PCR, you're going to see these words on the test. You're going to test for DNA. And no virus means no DNA. So if your test for the DNA is low, then that means you have no virus. If the test is high, then you have the virus. And this is the same type of test you would do for hepatitis and the HIV. So the hepatitis and the HIV test for the DNA. And you could test for the herpes DNA the same way. Now, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is if any treatment that you do can get rid of the DNA, which means the virus is also gone, then you're no longer herpes positive. You can't give somebody herpes. If you don't have the herpes virus, then you can't give somebody the herpes virus. That's the key. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, to you means you're no longer labeled as a herpes person. You don't have to worry about giving herpes to somebody else. But you will be affected by herpes again if you're not careful. So if this program eliminates the herpes but doesn't protect you forever, it just gets rid of the herpes, which means if you go and contact somebody, you are going to get herpes again. The antibodies will save you from light contact. But if you consistently stay with somebody with herpes, you are going to get herpes again. And you're going to have to do the entire herpes detox all over again. So let's go over the herpes elimination program so you understand the process more. The first step is focusing on the herpes virus. And for most people, it likes to settle in the nerves of the low back, which is why you get the herpes virus in the groin area. Some people get the herpes virus in the mouth area too, but the majority of people get the outbreaks in the groin. First is eliminate the virus. Is there a way to eliminate the virus? And the answer is yes. Activating your immune system to focus on the virus consistently over time kills all the viruses. So if we have the immune and now we have viruses, you can now see the immune system attacking viruses, and that's good. And if you do this consistently over time, over months, you're going to be able to pick out every virus that's attached to your nerve. Nerve inflammation. So this is the nerve. This is the skin. Your nerve is going to dump toxins into the skin because the viruses are actually here attached to the nerve. And they release their toxins into the nerve, and now the toxins come out of the skin. That's very interesting because what we're looking at now is some people are positive for the herpes virus, but they don't have a skin outbreak. Some people are positive for the herpes virus and get skin outbreaks occasionally. So what does the antiviral medications do? Well, all they do is suppress the skin from releasing the toxins out. That's what the antiviral medications do. And you can tell because once you stop the antiviral medications, the skin outbreak continues again. And if you took a herpes DNA test, the herpes DNA test is showing positive. So you still have the herpes virus. You take the antiviral medication and the virus outbreak minimizes or at least slows down or disappears. And you do this every day for the rest of your life. Or you get rid of herpes, clean out the inflammation, get the herpes DNA test again after you're done with this program and see if the herpes DNA test is lowered. If you do it that way, you might be surprised at how effective it can be and free you from having this herpes label. And you actually might be free from having to tell somebody you have herpes.